Hello, everybody. I feel like it's been forever since we got back into the video world of me doing more crochet videos. It's just been a tough couple, almost 3-4 weeks. I've been sick, some family issues going on, and it's been a road. But what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So this is where we're at. We are going to be learning how to make these beautiful pillows, peppermint pillows. This is not my pattern. This is a free pattern that has been all over the internet. But when I watched the tutorials on it, it can be a little tricky on understanding, especially what I found is starting doing the center. It's not easy. So I am going to consider this pattern more of an advanced pattern. Once you get going, it's not too bad, but then ending, as you can see, the ending is totally different than the beginning. There's definitely a front and a back to these pillows. I was asked to make some pillows and a blanket for a wonderful lady. Her first name is Kim, and we went to high school together, actually school together, and I'm actually having more fun than I ever thought making these. I'm usually not a fan of making duplicates, but this I'm really enjoying. So we're going to dive into it, but aren't they beautiful? I'm very protective of them because they are going to her. So I'm not, excuse my pajamas. It is a pajama kind of day. So the yarn that I'm using is my trusty handy dandy favorite Hobby Lobby yarn, and I love this yarn, and I'm using white. Now you can use any acrylic yarn that you want. I'm just a huge fan of Hobby Lobby yarn. It just stands so strong and holds together. And we have dogs, I do apologize, and I love this yarn in red. Okay, so like I said, getting started on this and the ending, I would say, are the two most difficult parts. Because the first one I did, I got really far on it. Then I finally figured out that I really, really despised the center. Didn't like it, did not like the way I did it. So I had to frog it and redo it because it needs to be done right. I'm proud of my work, and especially if I'm doing it for somebody else, I'm even a million times more proud. So anyway, so I'm starting with white. This pattern, if you're doing it in the red and white and you liked what I did, we started in white, okay? So there's two ways to start this. You can start this pattern with a chain 4, and then you slip stitch to the first chain. But this pattern works best with the magic circle. I am not even going to dance around it. It works best with the magic circle. The center holds. It's just more cooperative doing the magic ring. Magic circle, magic ring. So start our magic circle. And when you do that, you always chain 1. So then all you have to do is chain 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Now if you did the chain 4 and slip stitch to the first stitch, I need you to actually chain 4. So we need a total of chain 4. And then you're going to go right back into the center, and you're going to do a double crochet. I'm going to just pull this a little tighter so it's not so gappy. Chain 1 and put another double crochet in. Chain 1 and do another double crochet. Chain 1 and a double crochet. I need you to have, including your chain 4, that one counts, 8 double crochets in here. So I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. Chain 1, 7, chain 1 and 8. Now it's very, very important. Count, make sure you have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you count your chain. Now you can pull your center a little tight, but don't close it because we're going to be working in that, believe it or not. So on your chain, third chain up, I want you to slip stitch right in there and pull a loop. Now remember, we're not cutting off yarn. Okay? I'm not cutting off any yarn. Now, here is where we slip stitch to the chain. The next one, take your hook. Oh, I don't think I told you. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Take your hook, you put it through the center, and you bring it up through the gap. All right. Just wanted to show you before I added the yarn. So again, take your hook, you put it through the center, and you bring it up in the chain 1 area. Next, the chain 3 or the chain 4 that you did will be on the right side of your hook. That's where you're coming through. All right. Drape your yarn over your hook. Pull it through. Make sure you're working with the working yarn. And do a chain 1. All right. Now, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That chain 4 is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. So now wrap your hook, go back into the center. This is very confusing, very once you get going, you're fine. So you put your hook back in the center and you go into the next chain 1 gap area. Not the one that we just did, the next one. Grab some yarn, bring it through. Make sure your yarn is nice and tight. You want it not like ridiculous tight, but very taut. And then you proceed to do your double crochet. Chain 1. You do it again. Wrap the hook, you go into the center, go into the next chain 1 area. Grab some yarn, come on down, wrap, and proceed to do your double crochet. Chain 1. Next one. Go right in here, and you do another double crochet. Chain 1. You go into the next chain 1 area. Come on through, and you do a double crochet. Sorry for my cold. Chain 1, wrap, go into the next one, and you do a double crochet. Chain 1, and you wrap, go into your next gap. Now here's where a lot of people get lost. Oh, chain 1. All right. Now you're working white yarn here, not your tail. Before you close this gap here, your working yarn has to always be in front, right in front of your work, always. Because if I close this, the yarn's going to be behind it, and that won't work. But I want to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. I have one more gap. Oh, one more gap before I pull my yarn forward. I chain 1. I go right into here. Do my last, whoops, in the center. And that's why you need to count. All right, chain 1. Now you're working white yarn and your loop. Pull it forward. Keep that in the front of your working yarn. And now, third chain up, I slip stitch. All right. Now, if you look, see how I closed that? If I would have closed it and not brought the yarn forward, it would be stuck behind. But we're always going to be working on top. All right. So now, I put my white back on my hook. Like I said, the beginning is hard. Get your yarn all handled. I want you to go into, like, push the white in front. And I want you to go into that chain one area of the white in front of the red. See, I'm working in front. I pulled it up front. All right. I'm going to slip stitch. So I slip stitch over to the chain one area. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. In that same chain one area, make sure you're not grabbing any of your red. And bring up, I'm going to do a double crochet. Okay. Now I've chained 2, because between a chain 3 and a double crochet, so there's two stitches there. But before we go to our next gap, because we're crossing over where the red is hooked, we're going to take my loop and my working red and bring it up front, so it's up front. All right. So now we're going to go all right. I'm going to make sure I was working in the next chain one gap. So in the front, next chain one, you push the white in front. In that chain one gap, we're going to put in 2. I want to make sure all my red is in front, and it slipped, snuck back there. So in a chain one gap, to the left, we're going to put in 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Okay. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to go to the next one. You bring the back color forward. You're going through the red and grabbing the white. But when you're doing it, make sure the red is being pushed back and you're not crocheting over the red. When you're crocheting white, you're only working with white. You're only covering white. When you're working with red, you're only crocheting into the red. And 2 double crochets. And a chain 2. So then we go to the next. And again, go in, pull that white forward. See how my hook's only around the white, but I brought it through the gap of the red. 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 2. And you do it to the next. So you will have a total of 8. Chain 2, go into the next, and again bring it up, chain 2, and the next one. See? Double crochets in that chain 1 area, chain 2, and bring it up, 2 double crochets, and you chain 2, and you slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, and you pull a long loop. Now is the time that now I pull my center closed, and see how the center makes that star. And what I do, I take a stitch marker and I define the red. I pull it up a little bit. Because that is how all the others are. So I want this one to be the same. And when we do the next row of red, this will define it even a lot more. Okay. So now we're done with the white this row. We did 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets with the red. We're going to do the same thing. 2 double crochets, chain 2. So what you do with the white, you do with the red. Okay. All right. So with the red, we're going to push it forward and we're going to slip stitch in the chain 1 area. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and put another double crochet in there. Chain 2. Go over to the next gap. To the left. Yep. Grab it, bring it up, go in there, and do 2 double crochets. Make sure you're bringing it, poking it through the white. Chain 2. Okay, go to the next one. Two double crochets. Chain 2. Two double crochets. Chain 2. Make sure you're poking it through the white. Two double crochets. Chain 2. Go in the next gap. Two double crochets. Chain 2. Go to the next one. See how I'm popping it up through the white? Two double crochets. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chain 2. Pocket it through. Two double crochets. Chain 2. Now your white, make sure you got your white and your working white. Pull it forward. And then you slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. And you pull a long loop. Okay. And slowly I'm moving my red up because I want the red to be more dominant. Remember, we talked about that. Okay. And you work on that every round. This is the part of crocheting that can be very difficult at times, but it's so worth it. Okay. Very pretty. Okay, I had to go off a video for a little while to get this pulled up because it was bugging me. Because if it's not right now, as you keep growing and growing and growing this pillow, it's going to bug you, well, me personally, more. So I wanted to make sure I got it pulled up. Got this where the red is dominating. And the little bit that's left we'll work through. All right. So now you did the whole row of 2 double crochets with the white, and you did the whole row of 2 double crochets with the red. Now we're going to go on to the next row. So with the white, pull it tight. Now you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch now, because there's a stitch there. Forgive me for my cough. Slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now in the chain space, we're going to put in 2 double crochets. So that will mean you will have 3 double crochets total. And because we have 3, you chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Let me zoom you out a little bit. Pretty close. All right, now make sure. Oh, and also what I did is I weaved in my ends, just so you know, because they were getting in my way. So push my red forward. Then you go into your second stitch on the next one. So you're actually going into this stitch now. And you're going to do a double crochet. And then you do 2 double crochets in the chain. So it's always going to be 2 double crochets in the chain space for the growing part of this pillow. Okay. So we chain 3 again. And then it's 2 double crochets in the stitch right before the chain. So you are now officially past the hard part of beginning this pillow, which is the best feeling ever. Chain 3. And then you go into that last stitch before the chain. And remember, look at how I'm popping it through the red, because I'm not crocheting any part of the red. 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets in the chain. Chain 3. This pillow that we're making is a 16-inch pillow. Then 2 double crochets in the chain. All right. I ordered my pillow inserts off of, well, actually Kim did, off of Amazon. It is hard to find 16-inch round pillows at the box stores around my area. So you're just repeating all the way around. Same thing, you put a double crochet in the stitch right before the chain, and then you put 2 double crochets in the chain space. Take your time while you're doing each row, because if you miss a stitch, it's going to be noticeable. And then you'd have to pull all this work out. And because you're working with 2 strands of yarn, it's a mess, and that is coming from experience. So as you come around, whatever you do with the white, you have to do with the red. Exact same thing. So And then you slip stitch on top of the chain 3. Okay. Now we're going to do the red. So with the red, you slip stitch to the next stitch. When you start your new row, the very first one is always a slip stitch to the next stitch. Chain 3, that counts as a double crochet. Then 2 double crochets in the chain. And then because there's 3 total double crochets, you chain 3. And then you go to your next. The stitch before the chain, do a double crochet. And then 2 double crochets in the chain. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3, double crochet, and then 2 double crochets in the chain. All right, I'll see you around. Okay, I am coming around. I'm going to do my double crochet in the last stitch, 2 double crochets in the chain, chain 3. Make sure you move your yarn up front. I'm telling you, if you don't do that, you will be frogging. You need to do that. Okay. And you pull your loop. You can actually start seeing that it's wanting to twist like the pillow. All right. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do from this row forward. And then I'm going to leave you on your own until we get to the 12. And then I'm going to show you how to do your decreasing rows. Exciting. So now, like I said, we always, when we begin our new color, we always slip stitch to the next stitch. And then you chain 3, and that counts as a double crochet. And because you have a stitch next to it, now we put a double crochet in the next stitch. And then always 2 double crochets in the chain area. So this will total 4 double crochets. And because we have 4 double crochets, we will chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you move your yarn forward. Now, go into the next one. Make sure you go into not the first stitch, the second stitch, and there should be a total of 3. So you're doing the last 2. So a double crochet in the second stitch, a double crochet in the third stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the chain. And then because we did 4, you chain 4, 2, 3, and 4. And then we go over to the next one. Remember, we never use the first stitch. So double crochet in the second stitch, double crochet in the third stitch, and 2 double crochets in the chain. And I would recommend make sure you're doing the 8 of them There's 8 of each color, 8 white, 8 red. Chain 4. And make sure you're doing all your stitches. Very, very, very important. If you miss a stitch when you put it on the pillow, it's going to show. You can't miss stitches on this pattern. 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then 2 in the chain. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you go to the next. I'm going to go around and I'll meet you. Okay, coming around. I chain my 4. I slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. And I pull my loop. And then whatever you do to the white, you do to the red, 2, 4, 6, 8. And this is how we're going to keep increasing. So after you do the 4 of the red, when you do the white, you slip stitch 1 over, put a single crochet in the first 3, and then you put 2 in the chain. So then it'll be 5. So whatever you do to the first color, you always do the second color. So you have 2 rounds of 4 here. Then you do 2 rounds of 5, 2 rounds of 6, 2 rounds of 7, 2 rounds of 8, and you keep going until you complete end of round with a total of a 12 count. So it'd be 12 double crochets, chain 12, 12 double crochets. So each row you just keep adding, it's another stitch. So like we did 1 and 1, then we did 2 and 2, 3 and 3. We did 4. I'll be doing 4 on the red. And you keep counting and increasing like that until you do both rounds of 12 count. All right. Once you get to the round that you do your second color of 12, whether it's white and red or whatever 2 colors you choose, then you stop there. Now, if you want to do a 14-inch pillow instead of the 16-inch pillow that I'm demonstrating here, instead of going to round 12, you stop at round 10. So you do 2 rounds of 10 and then you stop. But if you're doing a 16-inch like me, then you go to the 12. And I'm going to meet you back here. And I'm going to show you how to decrease. Decreasing is also very easy, but when you decrease, it's going to go so much faster because you're losing stitches, obviously, when you're decreasing. But right now we're adding. So this is not, each row gets a tiny bit longer. But this pillow does not take long to make, and as you can see, my center is pulling out just the way it needs to pull out to match all my other centers. That was a worry for mine. That's why I paused, went off camera, and made sure I got this the way it needed to be. All right, I will meet you back here after either you do your 14-inch or your 16-inch. Okay, here's what she should look like when you completed both rounds, the white and the red, or whatever 2 colors you're using, of the 12. Okay, it's a chain 12 and it's 12 double crochets. But what I wanted to show you, look how cool, look how cool the backside looks. You're not going to see this because this is going to be in the pillow, but it's kind of neat, isn't it? Very pretty. And once you get going on it, it's quite easy, but it's getting there. And the beginning is, I gotta say, is one of the really tough parts. So now we did 2 rounds of 12. Now comes the easier part of decreasing. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And it's not as bad as you think. But the technique is the same. When you're going over the red, you make sure the red is pulled forward. When you're going over the white, you make sure the white's pulled forward. That's very, very important. Or you'll be, if you haven't already done it, you'll be finding out how much of a pain, and I mean pain, it is to frog this. Okay, so now we're going back down to, we went from 12. Now we're going to do, I am still fighting this cold, this cough, so I apologize. So now we're going to do 2 rounds of 11. But how you do it is, first you slip stitch over to the next stitch. Now, chain 2, just 2. This is not, and I'm going to repeat it, this is not going to count as a double crochet. It's not even counted as a stitch. In the next stitch, put a double crochet. And this is actually, if you think about it, it's supposed to be considered a decrease 2 together double crochet, but there. So now that's considered 1 stitch. So we're going to put a double crochet. I'm going to count in the next 2, double crochet in the next, that's 3, double crochet in the next, that's 4, double crochet in the next, that's 5. I'm so sorry for the cough, guys. I really am. Double crochet in the next, that's 6. Double crochet in the next, that's 7. Double crochet in the next, that's 8. Double crochet in the next, that's 9. Double crochet in the next, that's 10. Now in the chain, you're used to always putting 2 double crochets on this. When we're getting smaller, it's only 1 double crochet. So that is a total of 11 double crochets. Now that's how you start the first panel. Let me show you doing the rest. So we chain 11 because it's 11 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now my red is pulled forward, so I go over to my next white panel. I always skip the first stitch because that's what we're taught. In the second stitch, you're going to go in, you're going to grab some yarn, wrap, and only go through 2. Wrap, go into the next stitch, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through all 3. That isn't considered a decrease, 2 together. Double crochet 2 together, and that's 1 stitch. And then you're going to put one double crochet in every stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then just 1 in the chain, and that will make 11. Let's do another one together. Chain 11, 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11. I'll go over, skip the first one, do a 2 together double crochet, so it's going through once, go through the first 2 loops, wrap, go in the next stitch, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through all 3. That's 1 double crochet. Now 1 in every stitch going forward. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1 in a chain. That's 11. And then again, you chain 11. 10, 11. I think I want to do one more with you because I want to make sure you got it. Wrap your hook. You go into the second stitch, go through, pull up yarn, wrap, go through 2, wrap, you go into the next stitch, wrap, go through 2, then you wrap and you go through 3. That is 1 double crochet. It's 2 together. It's a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then you chain 11. So I'm going to have you go around and finish this row, and then we'll meet back. Okay, I went all the way around, but when you slip stitch, I suggest you count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Make sure you're slip stitching into the top of that first double crochet, not the chain 2. It's really important. And then we just pull that up and we work on our red. Then we'll do a row of 11 red. I'm going to show you one more time how to get started. So you slip stitch to the next stitch, chain 2, just 2, and then you put a double crochet in the next stitch. And that counts as a 2 together. And then you double crochet across, 1 in the chain, and the same thing as we did with the white. So then after you do this row of 11, then we'll do 2 rows of 10, 2 rows of 9, and so forth, counting all the way down until you complete 2 rows of 4. Stop at 2 rows of 4. Then I'm going to come back. We're going to put our insert in, and then we have to finish it off. All right, here we are. I just completed the 2 rows of 4 stitches. So it's 4 stitches, chain 4, 4 stitches. I did it of the white and of the red. So now before, forgive me, I'm sorry. Before this hole gets too small, it is time to add the insert. Now, like I said, my inserts that I have that were bought for me to do this project, these are 16-inch. If you're considering doing a 14-inch, instead of getting to row 12, remember, stop at row 10. Okay. So now, we're going to just insert the pillow form. The first part, just get it in there. And then you're definitely going to have to play with it. Make sure it's centered. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Now don't worry about if these edges seem a little off. As we continue to close, this will pull a little tighter. Oh, look how beautiful it is. And do you see what I mean about the center? How important it is to do it right. Very, very important. Don't be afraid to adjust this, move it around, because now is particularly the time that you want to do that. Okay. All right. When you're content with it for now, we're going to do the next row. Make sure my colors are here. Now the next row, we just did 4, so it's just 3. So we're going to do 2 rows of 3. And again, always make sure your other color is up in the front. So we just slip stitch over, and now is the time to make sure you're not crocheting too loose. Okay, chain 2, put a double crochet in the next, then put 1 in the next, and then put 1 in the chain. So it's the same everything that we did on all the other rows, but now we're doing 3. So I'm going to let you do your 2 colors of 3, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, as you can see, your opening's getting much smaller. So now is probably your last chance at smoothing anything out from the inside that you want. Make sure you're happy with the placement of everything. If there's something that you want to change around, please do it now. All right, now we did the 3s. Now we're off to the 2s. Okay, so same everything, just trying to get my yarn. My yarn seems to be going crazy on me tonight. Getting tangled. There. Okay, so we're going to do the 2. So pull our yarn. Again, make sure your other yarn is going to be pulled forward. So you slip stitch it over. Chain 2, 1, 2, put a double crochet in the next, and a double crochet in the next, and then you just chain 2, and then over to your next. You do a 2 together, and then you do a double crochet in a chain. Chain 2, and you just keep doing that. So I want you to do that with the white, and then again with the red. Okay. Looking really, really good. Okay, so now go back to the white. Slip stitch over, chain 2, and then you do a double crochet just in the chain. Chain 1, go ahead over, go into the chain to do a join, and you go into, the stitch, then the chain to do a 2 together. Chain 1, wrap, go in the stitch, go go through 2, wrap, and then you go in the chain. Chain 1. Chain 1. Chain 1. Go into the stitch. Then you go into the chain. Chain 1. Guys, make sure you're hitting every panel. Each color has 8 of them, so you have 8. And slip stitch. Now we do the same with the red. Slip stitch over, chain 2, and then you do a double crochet in a chain. Chain 1. One. As you can tell, I'm making sure my yarn's in the front. That's still very important to do through the entire project. And then when you come around, slip stitch. And then what you can do, chain 1, and you can cut off your red because you're actually done with that now. Okay. Now, oops, sorry guys, with the white, okay. Chain 3. You go into the next stitch, right in the white, you do a double crochet. You're not chaining or anything. In the next stitch, a double crochet. So you're going to put 1 double crochet on top of each white one. This would be 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. Okay. Also, now I'm not chaining, I'm just pulling that through. You'll see why in a minute. Now, I'm going to get rid of this red first because that's the easiest one to get rid of. I am going to weave this in only in the red though. So I have to go underneath, and then I go in to the red next door. But then when I want to weave it in, I have to weave it in a different side and weave it in underneath where you cannot see. See what I mean? Where you cannot see, because you don't want it to be seen. And plus this is going to a wonderful lady, and I don't want her to be able to find where I weaved in my ends. If she wants to really look, I want it to be a job for her to do. I don't want it to be an easy task. As long as you go back and forth 3 times, it'll stay. All right, so that made that job easy by getting rid of that one. Now, we're going to go in the same direction as the pillow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave in and out of the stitches. And see how it closes that right away? But if you would have chained one before you put it through, this would not work. That's why you can't chain. All right. And then when you're happy with it, you weave it until you're happy with it, until it is. Hidden, and you are sure that it's not going to come out. And then you cut it. And there is your pillow. If you need to adjust it a little bit yet, you can still adjust it. But the major of the adjustments have to be done because now it is too late to do massive adjustments. But there she is. This is how you do the Peppermint Swirl pillow. It's always a work in progress here at Whip and Chain. And if you want to see a specific video or a specific project, as long as it's not protected, I will be happy to do it, or I can make up my own pattern for you. Till next time, happy crocheting. It's Ronnie from Whip and Chain with Maggie and Lauren.